Americans can learn from Albanians on how to deal with Israel. Here's your Prime Minister. He made the pilgrimage. He went to the wall. He humped it. And once you do that, they've got you. When the people fear the government, there is tyranny. When the government fears the people, there is liberty. The Albanians have seemingly found the answer to the Israel question. When your choice is to fight or flight, you must fight. The Israel entity has already metastasized in Argentina and Cyprus. It has now found a foothold in Central America and is attempting to do the same throughout Africa. Since its creation, Israel has thrived off the negative Jewish stereotypes that all problems can be solved through bribery, blackmail, and extortion. Minister Rama, Prime Minister of Albania, like many other world leaders, was a willing participant in Israel's indoctrination ritual by making his pilgrimage to the Western Wall to display his loyalty to the Zionist cause. As a result, Jared Kushner's private equity firm, Affinity Partners, has recently pledged over $6 billion in luxury real estate development to be built on the historic wetland preserves of Sazan Island and Zavernik Narta Lagoon. What the Zionist cause has not anticipated was the immense backlash by the Albanian people. Mass protests from more than 300,000 Albanians have erupted against this Zionist project, which will cause irreversible environmental destruction of the protected wetland ecosystem along with its wildlife. But rather than acknowledge the legitimacy of the protests that are growing leaps and bounds by the hour, Prime Minister Rama threw his own people under the bus by calling it a hybrid war against Israel. Their motives are well-meaning, but are being weaponized by hostile actors employing a coordinated online strategy to exploit public sentiment around environmental protection and Albania's relationship with Israel. It's a lot of bots, it's a lot of fake profiles, it's a lot of attacks coming from all over. Despite signs of construction activity, including heavy machinery and excavators being spotted on the island since May, Rama insists that Kushner's project has not been met with final approval. In response to this treachery, a score of Albanians firebombed the Prime Minister's home. That's a true story. Growing hostility recently spilled over into the recent Israel and Albania soccer match, as Albanian fans pelted Israeli players with various objects following a semi-brawl, which was escalated when Israeli footballers started taunting their opponents with the Israeli flag following a goal scored. A civilization that can trace its roots back to the Neolithic period over 9,000 years ago has seen what happens when other countries like neighboring Greece give the Israel entity an inch. Albanians' well-founded reputation for being a no-nonsense culture who are prepared to die for their country is being put on full display for the world to see. They are also providing a blueprint for how to fight back against Israel and succeed. Americans are now overwhelmingly against the Zionist cause, yet our political leaders have been bribed and blackmailed by the Israel entity, much like Albanian Prime Minister Rama, and continue to defy the will of the people. When Americans start conducting business like Albanians, Israel and its Zionist cause's days will truly be numbered. So now I want you to hear from the Prime Minister of Albania, who made his pilgrimage to Israel, and this is what he said.
This is why Albania was among the first countries in Europe to pass new advanced legislation against anti-Semitism, why we have integrated Holocaust education into our school curriculum, and why we're building now in Europe, in the middle of Europe, two particular cultural spaces inspired by the gravitational force of the shining examples set by our Muslim and Christian grandparents who risked their lives to save Jewish lives. But it's not only about Jews.
Are you sure about that? when you get the nodding seal of approval from the devil himself, you've done well, Mr. Albania. You've done very well.
But this is not only about Jews. This is about humanity. And not humanity as a generic word, but our humanity. This is why for many years now, Albania has offered protection to several thousand Iranian citizens whose opposition to the butchers of Tehran placed their lives in grave danger. It was not without risk for us, and it's not without risk today. To remain human when one's humanity is under pressure is never without danger.
I wonder if he consulted his own people and asked them what they thought about this. Did they agree? It sure doesn't look like they do. And we have proof that the Albanians are not on board with this. That's the key. And much like our country, which does not want this conscription, what we know now for certain is that the Albanian people want to fight back. And they are fighting back.
Anger on Albania's Adriatic coast after developers erected barbed wire fences at the site of a proposed luxury resort linked to the US president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner.
We are here today because we want to go to our land.
Protests have also been held in the capital Tirana, where demonstrators marched under the slogan, "Albania is not for sale." Critics accuse the government of opening protected coastal areas to large-scale development projects. Specifically this one, worth $1.6 billion, led by Kushner's investment firm Affinity Partners. It would see Sazan Island and part of the nearby reserve transformed into a tourism destination. Developers say they will progress responsibly, but environmental groups argue it threatens one of Albania's most sensitive ecosystems.
It doesn't matter what they say they're doing. It just matters whether or not their money can convince them to let them do it. Now, the Albanian government, led by its prime minister, are prepared to allow the Zionist entity to do this. But the people are rising up, and the people are telling the prime minister, if you don't stop this, you're a dead man. And in that country, that means something. And this all started because we have allowed us, we as Americans bear responsibility for this. We as Americans bear responsibility for not speaking up sooner and more profoundly against the Zionist state. Now, Jen and I have done our part, but there's a lot of other people who have not. There's also a lot of other people who think they're speaking up, but they're not really doing it. And so, as I said, we could learn a lot from how the Albanians are conducting business when it comes to dealing with Israel.
In this stretch of kilometers of land, of wildlife habitat, plan to build a new city. It's declared 10,000 rooms, and what we hear now, it's even more. So there we won't have any more the protected area. The delta of Vjosa is completely being destroyed.
Critics say comments by Ivanka Trump have fueled their anger. In an interview on social media, she said she and her husband discovered the island.
We were on a friend's boat and we stopped for a swim. Effectively, that's how we found it. We swam to the island. We went on a hike, barefoot all the way up to the top, and we were just captivated.
Kushner and
It is easy to see why there is a hatred for privileged whites around the world. It is a colonizer mindset, and the two of them have it in spades. Not just because they're Nepo babies, but they're Nepo babies of criminal enterprise. So that makes it even worse. There is a level of entitlement that they feel that they have. But the idea that Ivanka's going to go, with all due respect, Gwyneth Paltrow on us and tell us how she's going to save these people. You know, it was as if she found the island and they were just a bunch of Aborigines living there. You know what I mean? Yeah, that island's been protected for almost 10,000 years. But she discovered it. You know, now that I think about it, the apple really doesn't fall far for the tree with the dud, now does it? Not really.
Announced plans to build the resort in 2024 as part of a wider regional investment that included a former army headquarters in Belgrade. Last year, he dropped the Serbia project following protests against it. But Albania's Prime Minister insists the project will go ahead despite public anger.
There is no chance that this investment will stop as long as I am here. And in the meantime, I am absolutely open, as I have been on other occasions, to discussing it with anyone who has concerns.
Protesters have rejected calls for talks with the government, saying more demonstrations are now planned.
And they're coming. As I said, they've already firebombed his house. There is going to be a vote of no confidence against him. If they are already out there, and within a matter of days, there's already been over 300,000 people in the streets of Albania's capital. How much worse do you think this is going to get? This is a country that puts up, doesn't shut up. And the hubris of this president, this prime minister, he's asking for it. And he's probably going to get it if he doesn't watch his step. So now the question is, are the demonstrations becoming more demonstrative? The answer is yes, they are. So there was a soccer match, football match, between Israel and Albania the other night. What are the odds? Talk about timing. It turns out that they didn't think very highly of this happening right now. So the Albanians let it be known that they were dead set against the Israelis even being in their presence. You know, the thing that I found so interesting about this altercation, watch this. You know, we've said time and again that Israelis are not so tough when they get confronted by somebody of the same size and of the same sex. You could see the fear in this guy's eyes. Running up the field, flashing his Israel Star of David flag right across his chest. And the Albanians are not having any of it. They're looking at him like, yeah, don't even try it. Colonial mindset at play. But this is what happens when they get confronted. They're not so tough. And if you thought that was bad, these were fans in the stands. You know, we talk about them not having a moment's peace and not being able to settle in, if you will. They're never going to be able to. This is the lesson here. This is just getting started. The defiance of the Prime Minister on full display. He made one final statement during an interview the other day. He's tepidly trying to change his tune, but not too much.
Albania is in a hybrid war. We are being assaulted. I saw it through media or through reading happening in other countries in other circumstances, but now I'm seeing it in my country.
By who?
Different forces.
It's almost as if he's memorizing his lines. He has to remember what to say at the right time, because if he doesn't, he could be in a lot of trouble. That's why the eyes go down. You see, if he was confident in what he was saying, he would be able to look right in her eyes and tell her exactly what he's thinking, but he can't. Because he knows he's kind of stuck. I think they anticipated that maybe the protests would last for a day or two. But when he had his home firebombed, now he's starting to think a little bit harder about what he's doing. Now, is it possible, plausible, that he's a dead man no matter what he does? If he goes against the Israelis, he's a dead man. If he goes against his own people, he's a dead man. He made this decision, and he's going to have to live with the consequences. You want real power? You have to be prepared for real consequences.
That brought this in the day one when this war started, this hybrid war started. I'm not talking about the protests as a war. I'm talking about hybrid war, because the protests are part of it, but are part of it in the sense that who is engaged in this war is using the sentiments of some well-meaning people about environment.
So this is being weaponized as this real estate construction project?
Is being weaponized big time, not as a real estate construction project, is weaponized by the enemies of Albania and of Israel.
Just the fact that he's talking about Albania and Israel in the same sentence when his own people are displaying outward hatred of what he's doing and of the Israeli people in general. And Albania is a country that was very good to the Jews during World War II. This was sanctuary for, I believe, hundreds of thousands. So to even test the patience right now is a very dangerous game. And this is the difference because, as I pointed out, Thomas Jefferson had a lot of great quotes, obviously. He is the author of our founding document. But when he said that when the people fear the government, there is tyranny, and when the government fears the people, there is liberty, this is a Class A example of just that. He knows his people will come for him if he continues down this road. So he doesn't know what to do. And that's a good thing. He should be scared, because in my opinion, he probably is a dead man. And I have zero sympathy, and nor should anybody else. He brought this on himself. The greed of the dying capitalist system is what brought him here. Oh, they're going to bring economic development to our country. For who exactly? 10,000 luxury hotel rooms on a private island? Who in the flying fuck is that for? That's for the citizens of Albania? You already know that there is no way in hell that these guys are investing this kind of money there if they have to pay taxes. They're getting a free ride with mostly our money and putting it into that country strictly for the rich and for the powerful. And for a long time, this has worked. But it's not working now. And these people are not going to stop. And as I said, we could learn a lot from how they conduct business.
And of Israel, because there is a narrative in the whole thing that this is about a hidden deal between me and Bibi Netanyahu through Jared Kushner to bring the Palestinians in that part of Albania, which is a total fantasy.
Yeah, that's not what the reason is, and you know that. And it's obvious that this is bribery, that this is treachery. And I would think at this point that some of these people will start to wake up to this reality. You're not going to get away with this. The people of the world are rising up to this reality, as they should.